Welcome everybody from the Sparx Systems YouTube channel. It's great to have you here today. My name's Scott and I'm joined by Stephen. Good morning, Stephen. How are you today?
Very well, thank you, Scott.
That's good to hear. I understand that we're going to be looking at some Kanban options today. Is that correct?
That's exactly right, Scott. And a very interesting topic. And for some reason, many people don't realize that this feature is available in Enterprise Architect. So I'm very glad to be here today to show people just how useful and powerful and what a productivity tool this feature is. So as always, let's set our perspective, and we can do that from the top right-hand corner of the application window. And earlier today, I've been working on some simulation of executable state machines. So that was an interesting thing to do, but we need to focus our attention now onto project management. Now that's part of the construction set of perspectives. And here we've got an option saying Kanban. So we'll jump over project management and we'll go straight to Kanban. So the focus of the tool changes, you can see there, and we've got a number of options there. We'll go back to our home screen, and as always, we'll find a location for what we're going to do in the project browser. So opening up this product management package, and I can expand that out, you can see in an earlier video, we did some things creating user stories and personas. And we made a mention that Enterprise Architect has got a great many features for all sorts of different methods of development, including agile development. And we also put in a previous video, issues, changes, and defects. And just to bring people into context a little bit, this is a repository where we're modeling a urban digital parking meter system. And so, the model is about parking meters. So let's have a quick look at some of the issues, changes, and defects, because we might be using those in our Kanban work. Here we can see the relationship between some entities, classes in a domain model or a class diagram. And you can see how we've got an issue, a change, some defects, and another defect related to particular parts of the model. And of course, we had our user stories. Let's just bring up one of those as well. We're doing this because these are going to be involved in our Kanban diagram work. So we've got Roger is a 45-year-old male inspector, and he's got a particular user story that we're interested in here. And we can see the notes that are available there and some information about Roger. Of course, you can detail these much more. And we've got Jenny, who's a hair salon owner, and she's got this perspective. She wants to have a parking meter system that encourages short-term parking turnover near my storefront. You can imagine why that's important to her as a business owner. So let's get started on the Kanban diagram. So we can do this a number of ways, but the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to select Product Manager here, and I'm going to say New Diagram. You can see that the Kanban option pops up, and we've got a number of different diagram types: basic, backlog, iteration, and complete. Now, the way that we work with Kanban here is that we have things on the backlog, and we triage this backlog and look for things that are going to be going into our our next sprints that we're doing. So I'm going to click on that one there and say here that it's a product management diagram. Let's just go create that one there. And you can see now that I've got this.
So I can see the columns have already been created for me.
Yeah, exactly right. So let's leave that. Let's leave the name of that diagram there for a minute, and you can see now that we've got a backlog, a queue, an in progress, and a done. Yeah. So that's an interesting one. Let's look at this a bit more and think maybe those things are great, but I want to add in some other columns in here of my own, because we work slightly differently. So I'm going to go to the Kanban option on the context menu there and bring that up, and that pops up a dialog box there. And it's got, a range of different options there. But the first one is this configuration one here, where I've got the backlog, the queue, the in progress, and the done. I'm going to add a new one here, and I'm going to call it review. But I want this work reviewed before we start. And I'm going to add another new one.
Is it possible to rename other columns as well?
Yeah, absolutely, Scott. I could rename this done one here to
let's say complete.
Yeah, I'll say deploy is the word that we use. And so we've got that there. I want to add one more new one, which is, as always good practice, Scott, is to to test that. You can see now that we've got those columns. I'll just add that. I'll just close that now, and you can see now that we've got these columns, but they're not in the right order. I don't want to be testing after I've deployed.
No.
So let's go back in again and look at this one, and we can change the order of these. So you can see the little hand icons down here, and I want to put in a review. I want to put that in after the in progress, and I want to test it after the review has been done. I want to formally test it before we deploy it. So you can see there now that those into there. The other thing I might want to do is I want to change the color of this backlog. I want to make people aware that it's it's not one of the things we're going to be working on at a time. We're going to be just doing that, pulling things from the backlog into the other columns, and we'll show that in a minute. So we'll go okay to that. Now, the other thing that we can do now is let's bind this Kanban to something in the model, and I'll explain what that means. We're going to bind it to the phase. What this means is that Enterprise Architect under the hood is going to create a relationship between the phase, or the phase property of each element, and it's going to align that with the columns that we've got there. So let's just go click phase there for a minute, and we've got that set, and let's go.
And can you access the phase in the properties, Stephen?
Yeah, exactly, Scott. We'll look at doing that now. So I'm going to go okay to that now, and you can see that that's changed. And look at our columns are all lined up nicely. Now, if I go into an element like a user story that we've got, as a motorist, I want to do that. You can see that the phase is down here in the project. Yep. So at the moment, that one is set to 1.0 because we haven't been doing any Kanban work before. But let's see how easy it is to create a Kanban diagram. Now, I could, if I didn't have user stories defined or features or defects or anything, I could drag them from the toolbox and create a new user story, on the fly. Yep. And I can do that with any element. I can do it with a defect or a feature. But we've got some user stories that we defined in our previous video. So I'm just going to drag those from the project browser and put them into the backlog. And I'm going to say, put it in as a link. And you can see now that that's gone into the backlog there. So let's have a look at this now, and we'll see about moving this one into the queue. So when we move it into the queue, it's going to ask us whether we want to do that. And we can say, yes, we do. And now if you look at the property for phase, you can see that it's actually changed to queue.
So it fills it in for you.
It fills it in for you, Scott. Yeah, so it's doing it as you're moving it. It's dynamically changing those things. And so anyone else that's looking at this element is going to be able to see that. Let's go in and make a couple of other changes here in our Kanban diagram. And let's just save that diagram there. And, let's look at appearance here. So let's use the Kanban drawing style. I kind of like that a lot more. And you can see now the element has changed to a different shape. It's got rounded edges and it's got a little icon on it as well. Let's show a little bit better. Yeah, let's show a little bit more information. Let's show the status. And we don't need to show the phase because we know that already because it's there. Let's show the, we don't want to do the notes. We'll do the author and the stereotype. The useful thing to do. And so let's go okay to that. And now you can see that we can see it's a user story, it's proposed, and we've got the author there as well. So why is that important? Because we may want to look at putting different elements in here. Let's put this back into the backlog for a minute and move to the backlog. And you can see now again that that's changed. Now watch what happens, Scott, when I add another one of these. Let's add our parking inspector as a parking inspector. Let's put that in. Let's say that someone wants to drag that into in progress. We'll say, okay, let's do that. You notice that it didn't pop it into in progress. And
put it
that's
in
a
backlog.
safety. Yeah, it's a safety mechanism in the tool and we can set that, but I think it's good practice to, in our configuration, we say what is the default column that we want to
Backlog's
use.
Default,
so it's the backlog, and we don't want people just willy-nilly doing that. It's very easy just to put them into the backlog and then start moving them around. So there's a lot of different options in here, Scott. The configuration there, you can see I've bound that to something. I can lock the swimming lanes, show the names in the title bar. So that's kind of a useful thing. You can see what happens when I do that. You can see that they're up here as well. I think that's quite a useful thing to do. Sublanes, so lanes can have lanes. Lots of appearance things here. The font color, of the title, let's just make that a little bit softer there. See, that's changed that a little bit. And let's do something else, which is a very useful thing to do. Let's look at the overfill color. So let's make that very obviously, something that will stand out, and we'll do it as that orange. And there's an underfill color there as well. And let's put that in, as another kind of color that stands out. Vertical spacing, line width, all sorts of things. And we'll say, enable underfill and overfill there. So we'll just go okay to that. Well, before we do that, let's go back to our configuration, and let's put in the thing in here in progress, the maximum number of things that we want in progress at a time. We've got a small team. So actually, let's put in 3. We don't want more than 3 items being worked on at once. So we'll go okay to that. And that's in the in progress one. And so you can see that's got an underfill limit. We've set that green. So no work is being done at the moment. And, if I'm the product owner, I'm a bit concerned about that, and I can see quite clearly. So let's put this one into the queue, and we can do that. We can do it automatically. Let's move it into the progress one, move to there. And, we're 1 out of 3 there. That's good. Let's add some more of these in. We'll just put drag some of these in as a local business owner, as a transportation manager. Let's just put a few of those in there. And, we'll build up our backlog there and, see what happens when we start adding some more things. So there's all of our user stories. And typically, you'd be triaging this backlog and, doing some things there. Tourists on parking meters. So they can all go in. Now, watch what happens if we say, look, let's jump this one here and say we want this to be in progress as well. And as a night shift worker, let's do that one, and we're in progress as well. 3 out of 3, our under limit's gone away now. And let's say that, someone's being very overzealous and going, look, well, let's just start this, tourist one. They want to have multiple languages in the tourist thing. We'll move that one there. And you can see that immediately triggers the in progress overfilled, limit that's indicated there. And
the project manager could instantly see if something's over full and take appropriate action.
Exactly, Scott. And look, let's do something else. We don't just have to do user stories in this thing. We can put in some changes. So let's say that this inconsistent network connectivity in urban canyon spaces is a really important one. Let's put that in there, and let's go okay to that. And you can see that drags in. Can you see the little icon there, Scott, that's showing what's going on with it there? Yeah. So
looks like a bug.
Yeah, it looks like a bug. So very, very useful indicator there. Now let's we can move that anywhere we want. We can also put in a defect. The battery backup system fails to maintain critical functions. Let's put that in as well. And you can see a different type of icon there and more display. And let's put in this one here was a defect. We put a change in as well. So implement dynamic pricing. That was one of the ones we looked at. Contentious one about the pricing, but really they're aimed at ensuring that people that are parking are not taking up too much time in the parking spaces as well.
Yeah.
So let's add that one. And again, you can see they're going in different colours, and I can move those across these different lanes. That one's gone in there. I'll say that this one is back in the queue here again, and we'll drop out of that. We'll move some things to the review. This one's been finished here. So, Scott, and there's very interesting other features of this tool, which we won't look at today. But what I want to do is show you where people can get more information from. So I'm going to look at the opening up the help system, and I'm just going to look at Kanban diagrams in here. So I'll just bring that page up and just wait for that to load. There's an immense amount of information, Scott, in the help system, and I encourage anyone listening to the videos to utilize that and look at some of that information. So let's have a look at some of these options here, and I will just bring that one in. Just looking for a particular page that I wanted to show. Yeah, so this is the page. It sort of comes up straight away. Gives a very interesting background, and talks about the Kanban. Literally means visual card, and was originally introduced by an industrial engineer, Tachi Ono from Toyota. So one of the things that this diagram is indicating, Scott, is, and you can see, this is a different setup of the columns. But what you can see here, we're not going to do this today, but we're going to do it in a future video when we look at resource allocation. But you can see that these little green bars underneath are showing that people are actually working on these. And you can see another example there. And a future, let's scroll down here. You can see we can do resource allocation with multiple people. Now, this is a very important technique in Agile, where if something is really important and a critical feature, critical function, defect, critical story, that people can swarm in on this story or the defect, whatever it is, and start working on it. So this isn't an old world way of doing things. The developers, the analysts, the people themselves have got the access to assign themselves to the particular element, and indicate what percentage work that they have completed. So you can see there
what
the
progress is being made.
Yeah, and also
I saw the highlight for in progress, so it looks like it's over full as well.
Exactly. And look, that might happen. That might have been what caused some of the criticality of this other element. So, but if you see down here, people can see who's involved. And when you click on these in the live system, Scott, they'll come up with with the full details of that. But you might see that there's already 2 developers working on it and 2 analysts, and you might be a more junior analyst, and you look at it and you can see one of the senior analysts is already working on it. You can say, look, I'm going to leave that one alone. I'm going to go and do do something else. But incredibly powerful. And like I said, we'll look at that when we look at resource allocation in a future video. So stay tuned for that one.
Excellent. Well, that's really quite powerful, because you can create the backlog, you can create your Kanban diagram, and colors convey information and context, and it's really powerful. I'd like to encourage all of our audience on the Sparx Systems YouTube channel to like, comment, and subscribe. We love getting your feedback, and don't forget to press that like button to say how much you love the content coming from Sparx Systems. And Stephen, I'd like to thank you very much for your contributions today. Excellent work as always. So thank you.
Always a pleasure, Scott.